Okay, I'm in the Maritime Museum. And of course we got a bear greeting me. Just came from Pettigrew Park. Look, they got all kinds of stuff in here, including a dugout canoe or fishing boat. Is this a oyster boat or something like that? And look at these boats. And look, this is a 50s model. Look at the tail fins. All kinds of old antique outboard engines. This one has a Johnson on it. It says Plymouth, NC to Miami, Florida, July the 15th, 1958. Wow. Here's the Roanoke River Basin. See, there's a Dan River, Ico, Car Lake, Lake Gaston, Roanoke Rapids. Hey, how you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
I sneaked in while you weren't looking.
You did. I heard you.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get around, you had to have a boat.
And what was it called?
That's a Chawan shad boat.
Chawan shad boat.
Mm-hmm. Each of the towns, each of the rivers built their boats a little differently, tailoring to the type of water that they were in.
Okay.
And how they were used. That was originally sail powered, and then it had a little hit and miss motor added into it. But that's
so everything was localized more or less, wasn't it?
Everything was localized.
Yeah.
You get out on the outer banks, every island built a boat.
They would have a boat builder living there, and he would have a different style, wouldn't he? That's great.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take a look around here.
Take a look around.
Thank you.
This is the coolest picture.
Look, they got a church pew in here too.
I got it from the state archives. This was 1862. The detail in the picture is not really much bigger than that's the customs stuff. And that's the flag that's at the museum. Yes, sir. You got it right off that night.
This is a Weyerhaeuser plant that you see in the background with the big tall smokestack. Solid cypress shingles. I need some of those.
Millions and millions of cypress shingles were cut here.
I bet they're kind of pricey nowadays, huh?
They are today. The only thing that's left, that was the county seat of Washington County.
Roper.
Uh-huh.
Now it's Plymouth.
Now it's Plymouth.
Uh-huh. And they had a water-powered, the first water-powered
Mill in North Carolina. It opened in 1709.
and it made shingles out of cypress trees. Wow.
Cypress and cedar.
I bet they last forever too, huh?
They shipped them all over the country.
I imagine.
They were shipping them down to the Caribbean. They were shipping them to Boston and Philadelphia, to Cape Cod. How do you think Plymouth got its name? We were doing so much trade
With
Plymouth,
Massachusetts?
Massachusetts.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's very interesting.
Plymouth was originally known as Brick Landing.
Brickland.
Brick Landing.
Oh,
There was a plantation that was here, and he built a brick landing.
oh, okay, on the river.
In the middle of town. And there's a little park down there today. And that was how the town got started. There was a trading post with the Indians. It was originally a log cabin.
Yeah.
When the traders would leave, the Indians kept breaking into it, so they came down here about 500 yards, 600 yards from the original and built it out of brick. Brick House Landing.
Brick House Landing.
And that's how the town started.
Oh, wow.
Started as a trading post.
That's very interesting. And what's the population of Plymouth now?
Today, about 3,000.
3,000. And the county, Washington County?
31,000.
31,000.
Yeah, I believe that's what it is. I just saw it last week. I believe that's what it
Yeah.
is.
I've been down at Pettigrew for a couple of days. Pettigrew State Park. Pardon me?
Somerset's beautiful.
Yeah, I went there too. Yeah, did a tour there. Got here too late to see the tundra swans, though. They're long gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
All right, this is a workhorse fishing boat right here.
That's the F-150 of its day.
Chowan shad boat?
Chowan Shad boat.
That's what they called them. Each little village had their own shipwrights, and they were slightly different. But this was, as he said, the Ford 150 of its time in the waterman days. Mankey's Ferry. Okay, I saw this, and I didn't realize it was a ferry crossing. Trappers, lumbers, farmers, planters drifted across the Albermarle Sound from the northern shores in the late 1600s. So that's how they got across the Sound. Well, I'll have to go down there and check it out one of these days. Look at the ferry boat. Look how big that steamer is. Had no idea. Crewmen of the Garrett transporting a trainload of logs from Edenton to Roper's Mill. Okay, it's coming south. Buncombe Hall, the area's most notable plantation, was the home of the Revolutionary War hero, Colonel Edward Buncombe. Asheville's Buncombe County in western North Carolina is named in honor of him. Somerset on Lake Phelps, the 100,000-acre Collins plantation, used a water canal to connect to the Scuppernong. I was there this morning. And established a colonial ferry, which became known as Mackey's Ferry, that traveled over to Edenton and was replaced in the 1870s by Roper's Ferry, the Garrett. I wonder what this building used to be. Oh, let's go up here and get another look at this Chowan shad boat. Anatomy of our fishing boat. Small handle control for the rudder. There it is. Is it? No, I believe it's missing. But there it is, a picture of it. Later in the boat's life, a gas motor was mounted. Maybe this hole was where the mast, they had sails as well before they were motorized. So this is a workhorse right here, and I guess that was the engine mounted right there as a drive shaft. Chowan River fishing boat. Commercial fishing was an important industry in northeastern North Carolina. The open waters attracted great schools of herring, shad, and rockfish, providing the economic stability for many families who lived in the Albermarle region. The boat displayed here was built in 1889 by Jerry Nixon in the upper Chowan River area. Many boats like this would fish the nets that line the rivers and sound. Used for 3 generations by the Bass family, this vessel was retired in 1990 after 100 years of service. Wow. Shows the boat in storage in 2002 before it was acquired by the Roanoke River Maritime Museum. Here's a model of it. History of the Willis boat lines. The Willis family of Solomon Creek for several generations were involved in the world of transportation, local produce, import goods, people, transportation, pulpwood hauling, shipbuilding. Started in the late 1800s, they converted our rivers into highways that were needed and continued to serve our many needs until World War II. Growing to meet the area's demands for all kinds of transportation, they bought ships. They built ships until they were the largest shippers in the region, from Franklin, Virginia to the limits of Salmon Creek, up the entire Cassie River through Plymouth and part of the Roanoke. The Willis boys posed with a rowboat. The Willis boats at Plymouth Dock. Look how big they are. Repainting one of the Willis boats. Look at this unusual design, isn't it? The Bertie at Plymouth Dock, that was the name of the boat. And that's also the name of a county, a little bit east of here, or west of here, maybe. Look at these nets, bow net. I like these maritime lanterns here. This is a wonderful museum. Life along our river. Let's check it out. Look at that netting right there, fish net. Okay, they got different paraphernalia. Anchor. I don't know what that S thing is. Life along our river. The Native Americans began human life on the Roanoke River 10,000 years ago. They had to carve out dugout canoes, build fish traps, and fish and preserve food to feed their families. We find many of the same uses in place today. Travel, the ancient highway that enabled them to travel and trade, allows us to do the same today. Food, fish, clams, mussels, crabs, feed us today as they did our ancients. Recreation, just the sight of deep waters of the Roanoke, stir us to take time off for a ride, a picnic, or a fishing trip. The old ones surely derived a warm pleasure from her beauty and bounty too. Work, commercial fishing, logging, barge traffic, and shipbuilding all remind us that the river can provide a living in everyday life. In 1939 brought North Carolina Pup, now Weyerhaeuser Paper Company, that at times employed as many as 28 workers along the river. Jack Larry and his fishing boat. Young lads as Sea Scouts. Boat ride, anyone? Sure, I'd like to go. Here's the lighthouse. It's right across the street. We're in Roanoke. Let's see what's on the other side. The wreck of the steamer Mayflower. There's a picture of it. Let's see what happened. The raspy moan of Mayflower's whistle was a familiar sound down at the Plymouth waterfront in 1899. The steamboat was a fixture on the Roanoke and Cassie rivers and had been hauling passengers and mail and freight between Plymouth and Windsor for 5 years. Around 4 o'clock on Friday, June 20th, 1899, the steamer eased away from Plymouth Dock and nosed into the current of the Roanoke. On that afternoon, the riverboat was hauling hay bales and plaster to Windsor, as well as 9 passengers, including a young couple with their infant. The Mayflower's captain, H. Davenport, had been as the steamer's helm for a little more than a year, but this was his last run. A man named Haynes, who was in the pilot house with him, would be his replacement. Davenport took the steamer about 5 miles upriver until he reached a winding creek known locally as the Thoroughfare. Many dangers are involved in navigating through a crooked creek, and this was one of the most crooked creeks around. The Mayflower made the first turn with no problem, but something happened as the steamboat went into the second turn. Davenport and Hayes could feel the deck beneath tilting beneath their feet. Davenport called for more power from the engine room and tried to steer the Mayflower into shallow water to ground it before it would roll over. But it didn't make it. The top-heavy steamboat rolled over and sank in 20 feet of water. There were 17 people on the Mayflower when it went down, and 16 escaped. And the little baby died. The Mayflower was towed to Edenton for repairs and again was making the Plymouth to Windsor trip by July 21st.
A lot of slaves, about 400 slaves.
Hampton Fishery. History of it. Oh, this is a film, I guess. Don't have time for it today. Shipbuilding on our Roanoke River. Look at these displays here. Antique outboarder, boat sport. There's a boat model. And then we have, oh, look up here. They got various traps. And I think I missed this one right here. A typical fishing season on the Roanoke had fishing starting at sunrise and returning to the water at dusk. Large seines were used to capture the fish, rock shad, perch, and carp, together known as ice fish, were caught, ice packaged, and placed on trains to be sent to Norfolk. Once on the dock, the fish were cleaned by women and packed by men. In a continuous process with the men leaving Plymouth on Monday mornings at 4 a.m. and staying at the fisheries through Saturday, they had to cook and were fed 3 meals a day consisting of fish, fatback, molasses, jelly, rice, cornbread, and fish stew. Women were not permitted to stay at the fisheries and return to town every night. Each fishery employed approximately 30 people. 5 men were assigned to each boat, and there were 2 boats per group. 2 to 10 women cleaned fish, 1 cook, 1 foreman, put the nets out, dipping in the catch, cleaning the fish, salting the herring, winding in the net, sorting through the fish catch, pulling in the seine net. The Plymouth waterfront, a bustling port town. Plymouth was designated in 1805 by the United States government as a port of entry, complete with customs house. Plymouth enrolled in 1806 26 ocean-going sailing ships, 3 to Falmouth in England and 23 up and down the coast of America and the Caribbean. Our waterfront grew into one of docks, piers, warehouses, channel stores that sell ship supplies. The arrival of a ship meant new goods, store sales, and excitement of news from the world areas. Plymouth grew until the 1950s, becoming the 2nd largest seaport in North Carolina in ship tonnage. Wilmington was first. Pulp mill, paper, barged pulpwood, fuel tanker barges and ships and agricultural products flowed in and out of to meet our town's 3 railroad transportation systems. In addition, our waterfront became covered with fisheries, ice houses, canneries, and sales depots for our many commercial fishermen who worked on the Roanoke. Fish nets drying, loading at Windsor, shipment to Plymouth. Wood supply for our paper mill. Winter supply of coal arrives. Plymouth underwater in 1940. Roanoke River flood. Haven Bell, part of the fleet. Plymouth, NC, look at this old picture, that muddy street. And cotton bales along the Roanoke River at Plymouth, Washington County, 1915. And what is this right here? Some kind of wave detector? Unique folks and interesting characters. Had Patrick with his dog. Here's that boat right there. Plymouth NC to Miami. Tom Burgess. They took a boat ride from Plymouth NC to Miami via the Intercoastal Waterway in 1958. Look at those guys. I wonder if they drink beer while they were traveling. Farmer and fisherman. Look at this little model boat right here. And a helm. This is a nice museum.
Would you like to cross over?
Look, somebody carved a tundra swan. And ducks.